Hello and welcome to Devotion to Writing, a channel devoted to helping you cultivate a daily writing practice and to realize that you are creative abundance. Thanks for watching today. I wanted to talk about rigor and discipline, some sort of constraint around the creative practice. This might sound kind of counterintuitive. How can we, or why should we be rigorous? Why should we be determined in our creative practice? That seems to go against or be the antithesis of creativity, which many people, I think, erroneously think is something that should just always be spontaneous. And while our creativity certainly can come to us as inspiration or spontaneously, I do think that rigor can produce really wonderful, vital work. Rigor is, to quote Marina Popova, a tremendous source of creative vitality. Constraint, the boundaries we choose or which we impose, give shape to our lives and is how we become truly creative. And yet, many people resist the rigor of a creative practice. I remark on this all the time because I feel like this lack of constraint, this consistency, rigor, is a big reason so many people who want to write, the people that I talk to, it's why they fail to realize their creative projects, their writing dreams. It's why they fail at their stories or to write that novel or memoir or collection of poems that they've always wanted to write. You are a vessel into which and through which the energy of creation flows. Your expression gives it, this energy, a shape. And in giving it shape, whatever form your gesture takes, not only gives a work shape, but it shapes your life. This energy flows through all of us. It's in everyone. It's everywhere. And the difference really is that some people are very intentional in how they use this energy and others are not. And the ones who are intentional are the ones who are artists. They're rigorous. They go to work. They treat their creativity as, I hesitate to say a job, but they do show up for their creation the way that a person, most regular people show up to go to their job. The difference is that in art, the creation is an expression of our life vitality. And giving shape to this energy, it requires a direction, some directive. A rigorous practice helps us to direct that energy. To make something beautiful, say a vessel, a piece of pottery, takes determination. We show up, we make through the firings, the repeated firings, a life that withstands the heat of living. So whatever it is you wish to create, be rigorous. Be rigorous in your seeing of it. Be rigorous in your acting upon it. This rigor is what is going to bring it to life. We must act on its behalf. Your stories, poems, your dreams, the life that you would like to create is fashioned by, and in large part, by your undivided, unrelenting attention. You bear it and you bear it, right? You bear it as in you live it, and you bear it as in you give birth to it. You shape it, and the work, the rigor of working, of creating shapes you, shapes your life, gives it its form. Now, again, going back to what some people will say, oh, I can't work like that. I can't work under those constraints. I feel like that's an excuse. It's a form of resistance. And another form of resistance is just the laziness of not wanting to be rigorous. And laziness really, I think, stems from fear and from doubt. We don't show up when we are afraid, when we fear that we can't or that we will fail. But I would like you to remember that there is no failure in creating. We just show up and we make what we can make each day, or for however much time we can devote to it. But again, there's that word devotion. That has rigor in it. It is something we don't always feel like we have the energy, the bandwidth, the ideas, the time, the money, etc., to sit, to come and be with our work and to make. And again, that laziness, that resistance is just an excuse. The rigor, the compression of our lives is saying, I have 5 minutes in the morning before I have to go to work. That's my writing time. Or I have 15 minutes after I put the kids to bed and before I go to sleep that I can work, and making sure we get to work during that time. The sculptor Alberto Giacometti, who's one of my personal creative heroes, he once spent 3 years sculpting figures, which inexplicably, he explained later, inexplicably he continued to pare down these sculptures to nothing. They'd get so thin and frail that they'd just eventually fall apart or break in his hands. And still, he got up and worked and sculpted every day for hours. And in his letters, he says, after those 3 years, all the work that he made in those 3 years, he could fit inside of a matchbox. They were that small. They were like matchsticks. And yet he had the courage to continue to show up, the courage to continue to shape his creative vision. And this discipline, this courage, this rigor to show up, to shape our creative vision, even when it seems like the work, or our lives, ourselves, and the whole world might be falling apart. This is rigor. This is what it requires. It is difficult. It is difficult to keep showing up every day, regardless of how we're feeling each day, regardless of what's going on in our lives. It requires our stamina and determination. And just to remind you, if you've watched other videos, you've heard me say this, and I often remind myself, it should be rigorous. It is. When we are making something, whatever it is our life. It becomes our life, or it is our internal life becoming form. It's the breath in us. It takes our spirit, our soul, our energy. We give expression. We press out of ourselves these forms that we want to see in the world. And it just so happens that artists are forming not just things on paper or canvas or in pottery and clay, but we're forming the very shape of our lives by the way we are living. And in fact, everyone is shaping the form of their lives in the way they're living. They just might not be doing it intentionally or being conscious of it, but an artist is. And we don't have to suffer this, right? That is an idea that really has come from the West, Western thinking, Western culture, especially from the Romantics, this idea that we kind of go mad with our art, or that we burn out and, have to, live so hot. We burn out at a young age. And this is just a story. It's a myth. We don't have to suffer our art. We can show up and work and create and be joyous and let it be fulfilling to us. There's a Dominican, from the Dominican monks, the Dominican order of Christianity, that says work and prayer. And I like to amend this a little to the work is the prayer, so that our creative work is our way of praying, in not to necessarily a supreme being, but just praying to life, praying through ourselves to the bounty, to the abundance of life. And that takes some rigor to show up and to work and to pray and to be intentional about what we were doing. I'm not a formalist in any way, but I do acknowledge that a little pressure, a little constraint, some sort of container, be it a container of time, like I have 5 minutes or 15 minutes or half an hour I'm going to devote to writing, or a container of space. I'm going to do this for a week, for 2 weeks, for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, for a year. Or that container is the constraint, say, in formal poetry. I'm going to write in couplets or quatrains, or it's a constraint of word count or theme, or such as in music, it's beats per measure. Or the constraint's going to be, I'm going to sit at the same time every day, and I'm going to give my full attention, and I'm going to write. And this constraint, this rigor, adds vitality to what you are making. And the voice, again, that says, rigor kills my creativity, is really just very often the voice that is itself afraid to create. It is our fears, our doubts, it is resistance. And believe me, I know it well. This voice kept me from my own creative writing, my own abundance, my own true heart for so many years. I hate to even admit it. It was many years that I allowed that to be my belief and to shape my creative practice, in fact. And I didn't really have a creative practice because of it. So I encourage you, give yourself a little container in which to create. And that is, set a goal for yourself to write every day for 5 minutes, for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, whatever you can feasibly do. But you can do a lot in 5 minutes or 10 minutes of writing. If you do it daily, you'll be amazed at how much work you can come up with. And do it no matter what the day brings. Set a time, the same time every day, and write no matter what. And if you miss a day, it's okay. Forgive yourself. Get back to it the next day. Come back to it the next day. Just be rigorous. Be determined. It's how you become truly creative. That little bit of pressure is how you become, as Marina Popova says, you become truly creative. And I believe it. I believe it because I've experienced it. And I've read so many stories about the lives of successful artists, of artists like Alberto Giacometti, whose work I greatly admire. And they were all rigorous with themselves. They worked, they showed up, and they worked daily to realize what was coming through them. So that's my advice. And to help you today with your writing practice, I want to give you a prompt. And I want to see if you can write, or you see if you can write for 5 minutes or more, but at least 5 minutes. And to make it a little bit more rigorous, I don't want you to stop writing during those 5 minutes. That is, I want you to allow yourself to write everything, anything that comes. Don't worry about structure. Don't worry about story. Don't worry about whether you think it belongs to what you're writing, if it makes sense. Just let yourself flow and see what happens. And we'll just see, we'll start with something with, really no bounds. Today I was, and just see wherever it takes you. Again, without stopping, without slowing your creative energy, just everything that comes, write it. Oh, and one more thing. Have fun. Enjoy yourself while you're writing. This isn't meant to be a difficult thing. Writing, you're creating something out of nothing. Enjoy this process. It is astonishing. We can create out of our mental images, out of our feelings, out of nothing. We can create pieces of writing. So see how that goes for you today. I'd love to hear how it goes in the comments if you care to leave me a comment. And just as always, thank you for watching. I hope that these videos help you get to your page today and do the writing that I know that you want to do. If you do get to the page and you write, I know you'll write beautifully, because beautiful is what you are. Thanks again for watching. If you'd like to learn more about this work that I do and other offerings, I do offer workshops online and in person, and I offer retreats and residencies throughout the world. You can visit devotiontowriting.com. Thanks again, and blessings.